Since 2017, Ventura County has lost almost 15,000 people in their total population. Everyone talks about how great it is to live here in Ventura County. The weather, the beaches, the laid-back lifestyle. But lately, the numbers are telling a different story. For the first time since 2017, we saw some growth in 2024, but that waned immediately in 2025. Growth here has stalled out, and that shift changes everything about how you should think about selling your home. And I'm going to get into all the details on how that affects you right now. We keep hearing that Ventura County is this hot spot everybody wants to move to, and sure, the lifestyle is real. The problem is growth isn't. In 2024, Ventura County added exactly 1,360 new residents, but you need a magnifying glass to see that number. The real problem is every year since 2018, and including 2025, was a net loss in residency. The latest State of the Region report, which Ventura County Community Foundation puts out every year, says the county is aging and shrinking. And that isn't a headline you see on the tourism board. Now, zoom out to California as a whole. 500,000 more people have left the state than moved in over the last 2 years alone, 2023 and 2024 combined, which isn't just a blip, that's a trend. U-Haul just dropped 2025 growth index, and the California ranked dead last for the 6th straight year. 6 years in a row with the greatest outmigration in the country. Texas and Florida are topping the list of where people are moving to. Meanwhile, California only grew 0.05% from 2024 to 2025 statewide. So the narrative that everyone is rushing to live here, that demand is endless, and that you can just list your home and watch the offers roll in, that story is completely out of date. The data shows something completely different, and if you're still pricing your home like it's 2021, you're setting yourself up for a big reality check. So let's look at where they're going and what's going to pull them away. The number one reason that people are leaving is affordability or the lack of it. A study out of the UC Berkeley, California Policy Lab found that high cost of living is actively suppressing California's growth. People who move out of the state typically find a lower cost of living and are more likely to own their home wherever they land. That is big, especially if they can't afford a property here. Consumer Affairs just ranked California as the 3rd worst state to move to in 2026. Think about that. When a national moving company and the consumer research firm both say this is one of the hardest places to relocate, that filters down to your neighborhood. Tax burden plays a role too. State income tax, property taxes, gas taxes, everyday expenses, it all stacks up. And when someone in Ventura looks at what their money buys in Texas, Arizona, or Nevada, the math gets real simple for them real fast. You can sell a median home here and buy something bigger, newer, in a half a dozen states and have money left over. Then there's the remote work shift. During 2020, remote work made it easy to live pretty much anywhere. That fueled a ton of demand in places like Ventura County because people thought they didn't have to stay in LA County anymore. A lot of those workers either had to move closer to their job or decide to leave the state entirely. California actually lags the rest of the country on remote worker growth. One reason, according to the San Francisco Business Times, is the workers tend to leave California after they land that remote job. So instead of remote work helping the housing market here in California, it's contributing to the outflow. There's also a lifestyle mismatch. A lot of people move to Ventura County looking for a slower, more affordable version of Los Angeles. But with traffic on the 101, construction everywhere, and the higher cost, it's started to look and feel a lot like the city they were trying to get away from. You don't move to Moorpark, Simi Valley to sit in traffic and pay LA prices. But that is getting more and more what it starts to feel like. I've talked to homeowners who sold here and bought newer homes, larger and more land in Arizona and Texas for hundreds of thousands of dollars less. They end up with lower property taxes, more square footage, and sometimes better job opportunities when you can pull that kind of equity out and upgrade your life somewhere else. It's tough to say no. And once that equity walks out the door, it's not coming back to buy another home here. All right, so we know people are leaving, and we know why, but here's the part that should matter to you. Let's talk about what this does to your home sale. The buyer pool is shifting. There are fewer out-of-state transplants with big budgets. There are fewer LA refugees who think Ventura County is still a steal. What you have to know is more local buyers, more move-down buyers, and more investors. And the local buyers know the market more tightly. They aren't going to overpay because they are escaping some crazy metro. The Public Policy Institute of California found that almost 10 million people have moved out of California since 2010. Just over 7 million people have moved in from other parts of the country during that same window. Lower income households have been more likely to leave, which means some of these entry-level demand is walking out the door. That hits condos and starter homes the hardest. Southern California condo sales are running 25% below the average right now. That's the weakest sustained stretch since December of 2002. When fewer people are moving into an area, the properties that rely on newcomers and investors start sitting longer. And when listings sit, prices adjust. I'm seeing it already. Condos that would have had multiple offers 2 years ago are now getting 1 or 2 showings a week. In Ventura County specifically, the first quarter of 2026 closed 1,211 sales with a median price of around $880,000. That isn't a disaster, but it isn't the frenzy we saw a few years ago. Some reports have the average closer to $945,000 depending on the city and the source, and the market is scoring 67 out of 100 for competitiveness. That means it's balanced, and balanced markets don't forgive overpricing. There's another layer here as well. The county is aging. As more residents get older, you're going to see more estate sales, more downsizing, and more inventory hitting the market at the exact same time that inbound demand is softer. That's a supply and demand equation that does not favor sellers who are lazy about their pricing strategy. You could have more competition from similar homes in your neighborhood while fewer buyers are coming in from out of state to absorb that inventory. The wild bidding wars of 2021 and 2022 are gone. Prices aren't crashing, but the market is normalizing. And normalizing means you have to work harder to stand out. It also means buyers are going to ask for repairs, credits, and longer escrow periods because they know they have more options. So here's what you need to do differently if you're selling in this environment. Number one, price your property right from day one. In a softer demand pool, overpricing is the fastest way to become a stale house on the inventory. Buyers who know the market aren't going to chase the number that doesn't match the comps. And the longer you sit, the more suspicious they get about your property. Number two, presentation matters more than ever. With more inventory pressure and choosier buyers, curb appeal and condition are tiebreakers. You don't need a full renovation, but you need to make sure your home looks like the best option on the price. You want clean windows, fresh paint, wherever it counts, a front door that invites people in. These are small things that make a big difference when buyers are comparing 4 or 5 properties that they've seen in one single day. Number three, know your actual buyer. If your home appeals to first-time buyers and investors, market to them specifically. Don't market to some fantasy LA transplant with unlimited cash. That buyer isn't showing up in the numbers anymore. Look at who's closing deals in your zip code and target that person. Number four, if you're in a condo or entry-level segment, know that you're competing in the weakest part of the market. Adjust your expectations and your timeline accordingly, and you might need to offer incentives, cover some closing costs, or be flexible about move-in dates to get the deal done. And number five, work with somebody who reads the data, not just someone who tells you what you want to hear. Business sense and common sense, and being that uncommon realtor means looking at the real numbers and being straight with your seller every single time. If you can't be honest up front about what the real numbers are, it's going to bite you in the butt in the end. That's my big take on people leaving Ventura County and how it affects you as a seller. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.